Hello Mech Warriors and welcome back to the Mech Lab. Today I'm going to be focusing on how to be a better mercenary commander. Specifically, I'm looking at the best mechs based on their quirks and which mechs you should buy for your mercenary force. A mech's armor, its weapons, even its engine size can all be changed, but quirks are locked to the chassis. So let's look at the best canon mechs, and maybe we'll also get some insight as to why some of these crappy designs are so popular. So first up we have the Shadowhawk. I like the 2K variant. This is a great chassis to work with. Strip out some heat sinks, put in a couple jump jets and some armor, and you got yourself a real good little skirmisher. But it's the quirks we're concerned about. We have rugged, meaning that this can go a long time without maintenance. Ubiquitous, meaning that replacement parts can be easily found. Battle Fists, giving a bonus to punch attacks, which is really useful because in Intro Tech era, which is what we'll be focusing on today, fisticuffs are the norm. Finally, we have improved life support. This has a number of functions, but the most important one is that the Mech Warrior won't cook if the mech overheats. Inferno missiles seem to be pretty popular in this era, so not having your Mech Warrior get cooked is a real big benefit. On top of having great quirks, the Shadowhawk is a 55-ton chassis, meaning that it's the heaviest mech that has half-ton jump jets. So if you want something that jumps and is mobile, a 55-ton chassis is the ideal mech. Speaking of your mech pilot not being cooked, let's look at the Stalker. Again, biggest mech chassis that can take 1-ton jump jets is an 85-tonner, so putting some jump jets on the Stalker I've found can be very useful. And we all know the Stalker has great weapons, but we're looking at the quirks. We've got Combat Computer. This is an insanely good quirk to have. The Combat Computer reduces your heat produced per turn by 4. This is essentially 2 free double heat sinks in your mech. That is absolutely incredible, and more than enough to offset the no arms quirk, which is pretty bad. It makes getting up very difficult because you can't push yourself up using your arms. Ubiquitous means that there's going to be lots of parts available for the mech as well if it inevitably gets scrapped, which with a 3.5 mech is pretty easy to have happen. 85 tons is also the biggest that a mech can be with a 4/6 movement profile, so stripping an engine out of a Battlemaster and jamming it into this thing would actually be perhaps to your benefit if you want a little bit more mobility. Talking about good assault mechs with jump jets, we have the Marauder 2. This is the big boy. 100 tons, doesn't get bigger than that other than super heavies, and the Marauder 2 has all the same quirks as the regular Marauder. We have narrow low profile, which is honestly super overpowered. If there's an argument to not allow quirks in your campaign, it is probably the narrow low profile quirk. What this does is it halves damage if the enemy only meets or exceeds their hit number by 1. So on a 100-ton mech with 300 armor, that's really disgustingly effective. But that's not all. We also have hyperextending actuators, so this thing can turn its arms backwards and shoot at you, even though it has lower arm actuators, which allow it to get up more easily. And finally, we have Command Mech, +1 to your initiative rolls, always great to have. If you're looking for a command assault mech, it's pretty much between this one and the Atlas. Here he is, the big scary boy, 100 tons, and well, the Atlas's weapon complement leaves a little something to be desired for me, but the quirks do not. We have Command Mech on this one as well. Battle Fists, making this extremely good at punching. And we have improved communications. This mainly makes it so that ghost targets are less effective, so if you're not using ghost targets with ECM, or you're playing Intro Tech and you don't have ECM anyways, improved communications doesn't really do that much. But distracting is interesting. There are rules for demoralizing your opponents, and essentially just making them run away, and the distracting quirk helps with that. As far as I know, the Atlas is the only mech with the distracting quirk in the game. Also, I really love the DC variant of this mech. It is available in like the 3030s with the command console. The command console does not stack with Command Mech, I don't believe, but it replaces it with a better bonus, and the command console bonus is super good. If you want a Command Mech for a slightly faster heavy lance, the Marauder is probably where it's at. The Marauder 3D is the best base variant. Me personally, I'm probably stripping out that large laser in order to get some more armor onto those side torsos. But again, we've got hyperextending actuators, Command Mech, and narrow low profile. This is really, really strong. Once you get into later eras, up-engining this to a 585 cavalry mech with an XL engine is extremely effective because of that narrow low profile. Yet another heavy command mech. The Archer is really good. The Archer 2S is my favorite Archer variant from the Intro Tech boys, and this has very good quirks as well. Command mech, always good. Battle fists, making it great at fisticuffs. Unfortunately, those close range weapons are in the arms, so you can't punch and use them unless you have fist fire. But stable is really great. Basically, it means that you get a bonus to your piloting check to stay standing after someone kicks you. So stable's a great thing to have because the Archer is a fire support mech. Enemies are going to run around behind it and try and kick it and knock it over, and stable helps to prevent that. The final big boy command mech, the Highlander, is pretty interesting. That 353 movement profile is really quite good. Has weapons for every range, which I like quite a bit, but it's got great quirks. The cowl makes it so that the Highlander is less likely to get head capped. In fact, the Blazer, which is the only head capping weapon before the Gauss rifle comes back, will only get through the armor on the cowl. Now, technically, cowl is only supposed to work from the sides and rear arc, but in Mega Mech, cowl cannot be implemented that way, so it just straight up gives you 3 extra head armor, which is fantastic. And command mech, always good. Difficult ejection is a bad one. That makes it harder for your mech warrior to eject. So if you're trying to eject, you better be in real dire straits. Things have gone pretty badly if you have to eject out of your Highlander. Or maybe it's just that you have used your reinforced legs to reduce the damage that you take from DFAs in order to DFA someone, and that's gone very badly. I love the reinforced legs quirk because it encourages people to do some very silly stuff. And doing silly stuff is what campaigns are all about. Alright, we've mainly looked at big boys, but now we're going to look at some mechs that you might want in your Scout Lance. We've got the Falcon, little 30-tonner, 696 movement. If it's me, I'm definitely removing these machine guns 100%. They're basically completely useless. Get some extra medium lasers in there instead. The Falcon has narrow low profile, really good quirk. Again, having that damage that's incoming. Not as impactful as when you have like 30 armor slabs on you, but the extra TMM makes it more likely that this is going to go off. Narrow low profile has kept light mechs in the game much longer than they should have been in some games that I have run with them. So Falcon, great chassis. You just need to refit it a little bit. The Valkyrie is a funny little long-range support mech. I like the QF variant because I like that 585 movement profile. The Valkyrie has improved communications, which is great, but easy to maintain means that repairs on this mech are much easier. So this is a great unit to have in your Lance if you just want something that's going to be easy to repair. It can take a beating and then go into the shop and be easy to fix. The Mongoose is probably my favorite scout mech in the game. The 812 movement is fantastic. 25 tons is a little bit small, but it's got some great quirks. We have command mech again, and then easy to pilot. Easy to pilot is really strong. This gives a bonus to every piloting check, so it makes this mech much better at its job, and it makes sure that even if it starts taking some leg criticals, it's likely to stay standing and still be able to keep moving, keep that TMM up. And then we have a stabilized weapon, which reduces the movement penalty for firing these by 1, which is so good. So love the Mongoose, great little backstab. And also probably one of the better mechs that you can get to lead a Scout Lance. But what if you want something a little bit bigger to lead a Scout Lance? We've got the Phoenix Hawk. I like the 1D variant. Machine guns, again, really useless most of the time. That 696 movement profile is super good, and we've got some great quirks here. Ubiquitous, again, easy to find replacement parts. This thing is everywhere. You're going to be able to find them on the market for sale, and you're going to be able to find that armor leg that gets blown off during a mission pretty easily. Improved communications, again, only really useful if you've got ECM on the table. There is an ability where you can like use a command uplink, but I wouldn't worry about that. That's not ever really going to come into play. But we've got command mech, so this is your leader for the Scout Lance, usually just so that you can get that nice initiative bonus. Phoenix Hawk is a great leader for a Scout Lance, but alternative suggestion is the Chameleon. 50 tons is the biggest that you can be with a 6.9 standard engine before you start losing tonnage. So a 55 ton 6.9 mech with a standard engine actually has less free tonnage than a Chameleon would. Now, the weapon spread on here is just way too concentrated. We need to remove some of these smaller weapons and this machine gun ammo and up armor the unit. Armor is the #1 priority when you have a Merc Lance, because you need to be able to retreat with your units and get them repaired rather than having expensive parts blown off, like weapons, arms and legs, maybe even engines. Having your engine destroyed is real bad, so you want to be able to get your armor stripped off and then retreat off of the battlefield. Anyways, we've got easy to pilot on the Chameleon. Makes this a great unit to do melee with, and also makes it a great unit to put your rookie pilots in. And while it doesn't technically have ubiquitous, this is the most common training mech, meaning that pretty much every military force is probably going to have like 1 or 2 of these kicking around. So the Chameleon probably should have ubiquitous, in my opinion. I mean, it even says it right here. It's the premier training mech for light and medium battle mech warriors. Now, one cool thing that isn't reflected in its quirks is that the Chameleon has specialized electronics and sort of a modular armor system where it can put on pieces to make it look like other mechs and then project a signal that makes it appear to be, I don't know, like a catapult or something like that. A clever merc can definitely do something with that functionality. Like send in your whole lance of chameleons, but make them all look like battle masters or something, and make the enemy really afraid. And fool them maybe to think that this unit doesn't have the mobility that it does. Walk towards them at like 40 kilometers per hour and then burst into a sprint up to 90k and chase after them. So the Chameleon, really great chassis, a lot of great utility, and one of the few 50-ton mechs that comes with a 300 fusion engine. Another pretty cool little scout mech, we've got the Vulcan 5T. This is the best loadout for the Vulcan, and the Vulcan comes with narrow low profile. So if you up armor this, say get rid of the machine gun and just slap on a bunch of extra armor, this unit is incredibly hard to kill, and you can even up engine it. A 711-7 40-tonner is a terrifying thing with narrow low profile. You don't even need that many weapons. Get a couple of small lasers on the thing and you will strike terror into your enemies' hearts. The Vulcan gets a bad rap because most of the variants are really terrible, but this is actually a very good mech. Now, we can't talk about scout mechs without talking about the best scout mech in the game. The Ost Scout is insanely good. Now, it does dedicate a lot of tonnage to engine size and jump jets, meaning that this unit doesn't really have much in the way of weapons. But if all you need is a mech to go and steal things from people, or a mech that can scout out your enemy, the Ost Scout is definitely the best mech to do that. It has narrow low profile, meaning that it's very hard to kill, especially with the insane movement that it has. It has improved communication, so it can ignore ECM a little bit and probably relay information from the front a little bit better than other mechs. Improved sensors, acts as a Beagle active probe. In intro tech, when Beagle active probes no longer exist, this is an insane quirk to have in order to spot hidden enemy units or just pick up sensor pings when your visibility is limited. Finally, Rugged allows it to perform in the field for long periods of time without maintenance, which is fantastic. If you're looking for a combat unit, the Ost Scout probably isn't it, but if you're looking for something that can run up behind enemies and kick them, I would probably strip out the medium laser, put a little bit more armor onto this thing, get it to 10 on every location, and that's going to be pretty solid for you. Last light mech on the list, the Urban Mech. Specifically the Suburban Mech, just because it already has a more useful engine slotted into it. I would even further up engine this unit because 353 is still extremely slow for a light mech, and the reason why is because we have narrow low profile on this unit. This is insanely good. The Urby is actually pretty hard to kill with that narrow low profile, especially if you up engine it. 585 movement, whatever you want it to be, 696, 711-7, it can do all of those movement profiles. You just have to slot in a new engine. Extended torso twist is really interesting because what that means is that its arms are essentially useless, and they in fact pretty much don't exist. No/minimal arms means that your unit should probably just strip all of the armor off of the arms and put all of the weapons into the torsos. Extended torso twist allows you to twist 1 additional hex, meaning that you can fire all of your weapons directly behind you. There is no place that your enemy can hide from the gaze of the Urban Mech. So these two combined make the Urban Mech very, very good at being a flanking unit if you can up-engine it, or just a decent long-range support unit by putting some bigger, heavier weapons in it. I'd probably go with LRMs in the torsos and maybe some small lasers in the CT and head to defend it at close range. So the Hatchet Man is not my favorite mech. I don't like a little 45 tonner being 464, but it does have one very useful quirk: anti-aircraft targeting. We don't care about the fast reload on the AC-10. If you're doing reloads, you're probably also getting armor slapped on, and reloads take very little time anyways. But AA targeting means that this is really good at taking out VTOLs and aerospace fighters. So if you want a very cheap unit to take out enemy air assets, the Hatchet Man can definitely do that. What I might do is actually reduce the AC-10 into an AC-5 and put some flak ammo in there so that it has a little bit better range, and then use that extra tonnage to up armor this unit or give it a bigger engine. Speaking of anti-aircraft mechs, we have the Rifleman. It is the premier anti-aircraft unit. 4.6 on a 60 tonner. Feels a little bit slow, but it's reasonably okay. We gotta get rid of these large lasers, man. I understand that the purpose of this unit is to just fire everything, the large lasers and AC-5s, at a flyer, but AC-5s are so much better at dealing with flyers than large lasers are. I'd probably strip out both of these, get a third AC-5, put a little extra ammo in there, and add some extra armor, because this is gonna get strafed by 2 aerospace fighters and explode. But we've got anti-aircraft targeting, ubiquitous, meaning that when it does inevitably explode because it's made of paper, that you can get replacement parts for it. Improved communications, like mechs already have searchlights already. I don't actually know what this quirk does, but regardless, if you want an anti-aircraft platform, the Rifleman's not bad at it. However, my preferred anti-aircraft platform is the Orion. With easy to maintain and rugged, it can go a long time without maintenance, and when that maintenance is needed, it's easier to pull off, and anti-aircraft targeting means that this unit is very good at taking out aerospace fighters and VTOLs. We have an LRM-15 and an AC-10 for those purposes. With 2 tons of AC-10 ammo, you can bring flak as well to shoot down those air assets very effectively. And being a big, tough 75 tonner, the Orion is just a great unit to have in your lance in general. My pick for best all-rounder is probably the Thunderbolt. It's reasonably priced, it's well armored, there's some very good cannon variants that you can use. The 5SS is one of my favorites. It has a weapon for pretty much everything, and it has some decent quirks. Rugged 2 is even better than Rugged 1. It means that the Thunderbolt can go without maintenance for a really long time, and ubiquitous means that it has replacement parts available in pretty much every system. Multi-track is really helpful sometimes. If you need to split fire, maybe there's something behind you and you're trying to hit it with your large laser, but you still want to put most of your main weapons into something that's in front of you, multi-track allows you to do that with reduced penalties. So on a unit that is probably expected to engage multiple enemies at once, the multi-track ability is really great on the Thunderbolt. And I mean, it's a Thunderbolt. Everyone loves the Thunderbolt. It is one of the most ubiquitously used mechs in 3025 in my experience, and for good reason. Okay, to round things off, let's look at some cavalry mechs. We have the Grand Dragon. This is the intro tech version of the Grand Dragon. 5.8 300 fusion engine, under armored. I'm gonna say that straight up. This mech is under armored. It's also under synced. PPC and LRM-10 together are going to overheat it pretty quickly. So why was the Dragon so widely used? It's because it has narrow profile. The sloped armor on this unit allows it to take ludicrous amounts of punishment, especially with its reasonably high 5.8 speed. Stable allows it to stay standing even when it gets kicked, and extended torso twist means that this can fire behind it just like the Urban Mech, which again means that these arm-mounted weapons are stupid and don't make any sense unless you are not using quirks. The Wolverine is a very weird unit. It has a lot of quirks. Obviously the 6M is a great unit. It's probably one of the most widely used cavalry mechs in my experience because it's so good. Just the armament that it has is fantastic. But we have so many quirks. Ubiquitous means you're gonna find replacement parts for this pretty much no matter where you go. Command mech, super good. +1 to initiative, great as a leader for a cavalry lance. Extended torso twist means that you can fire behind you. Again, these arm-mounted weapons are kind of pointless. I don't know why they decided to do that. Probably because the art for the unit they're ripping off has an arm-mounted weapon. Protected actuators protects this unit from leg attacks. That's from from regular infantry or battle armor. Those are very dangerous, so protected actuators is really helpful to have. Improved communications, you can ignore some ghost targets, and helps you to contact other members of your lance or other lances operating in the same area, which is great. But we have cramped cockpit. Now, cramped cockpit essentially gives you a 1 penalty to all piloting checks. This is pretty bad. This means that the Wolverine is gonna fall over a lot, but the list of other really good quirks that it has makes up for it in my opinion. And if you get the small pilot, special pilot ability, this is actually not an issue at all. So put a small pilot in here and have them lead your cavalry lance, and you'll be having a good time. Now, to finish things off, we have the Ostsoul and Ostrock. These are pretty much the same mech, honestly. In everything but name and weapons loadout, they are the same. I like the Ostsoul 4D better. It has the 16 heat sinks, so it can actually cool those 2 large lasers, and it also has better quirks. Both of these have narrow low profile, which, as I covered with the Dragon, is extremely good with 5/8 movement and heavy armor. This thing pretty much does everything that the Dragon should do, but does it better. The Ostsoul is the better mech though. In addition to narrow profile, it has improved sensors, so that acts as a Beagle active probe. It's better at finding hidden enemy units, it's better at finding sensor pings on a map with double blind. The Ostsoul is possibly one of the best mechs on the list in terms of mechs that you would want in your lance as a merc commander. It can function as a really big scout, and it can function as a really tough bruiser that is super hard to bring down, especially because most of the armor is removed from the arms and it's placed on the legs and torsos, making this extremely hard to kill. It's also a complete energy boat. If it was me, I would strip out these 2 rear-mounted lasers and just slap more armor onto this and maybe 1 or 2 extra heat sinks so that you can cover your movement heat when firing those 2 large lasers together. Or we could add one of the medium lasers to the front so that we have more punch in the front arc, especially if we lose a side torso. I recently used one of these against my players in the Freelancers campaign that I'm running on my channel, and it was an absolute menace. They did not kill this thing. It was so hard to deal with. It was a Royal Ostrock, actually. It wasn't the regular Ostsoul, but that narrow low profile on a 5/8 mover is really good. Go check out the Freelancers campaign if you want to see some very cool missions that we've been running and crazy custom mechs that we've been making. And while you're navigating through the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps out a lot. If I missed any mechs with great quirks in the Intro Tech era, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, stay safe out there, mech commanders, and have a great day.